Welcome to Oracle for Startups, where we talk to the innovators who are working with Oracle to scale up. Today, I'm talking to the co-founder of Circulor, a startup using blockchain to make supply chains more transparent and sustainable. Veera Johnson, thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Looking forward to the chat.
Likewise. So let's start with the basics. Tell me about Circulor. What does your solution do?
So effectively, we're a technology services business, and we provide our clients with a platform that enables them to provide provenance of the raw materials that they use in their supply chains, whether it's manufacturing or recycling. And we are able to track the actual raw material all the way through the supply chain, even as it changes physical state, by giving it a digital twin identity. And we create a chain of custody as the material goes through the different participants to become an end product, so that you and I as consumers, when we buy that product, we know exactly where it came from, what happened to it, which location it was created from, who are the participants within that supply chain. And more importantly, we can track the carbon emission emitted as part of that creation of the product. So that's at the highest level.
I think the digital twin concept is so fascinating, and I know we will absolutely talk about traceability and sustainability in a moment, but I'm curious first, how did the idea for Circulor first materialize for you?
Sure. Doug, my co-founder, and I had worked together for over 25 years now in various guises. And one of the things that we always struggled with in our early consulting days was that manufacturers over the last 30, 40 years had outsourced a lot of their production capabilities to make themselves more agile as companies, which meant that they lost the ability to have transparency and control in their supply chains. Technology then wasn't able to do what technology can do now. So we very quickly realized that by using blockchain-enabled capabilities, we could create an immutable record of trust by building that chain of transparency. And it was through those ideas that Circulor was born.
And what's the biggest empowerment for your company? Is it improvements in blockchain? Is it consumer demand? What do you think is making this technology so important right now?
Sure. I think we happen to be very lucky in that we're in the perfect storm of stakeholders and consumers demanding transparency and achieving climate change objectives at the same time as the regulatory requirements providing a backbone to encouraging companies and needing companies to demonstrate the provenance of their critical materials. And then, of course, the fact that blockchain and some of the AI capabilities and geolocation capabilities have all come together at a point where the maturity of the technology has allowed us to tackle some of the transparency issues.
So transparency is clearly something there's a lot of demand for at the moment. What's the biggest impediment to the idea of transparency in a supply chain?
I would say there's probably two big challenges. One is organizations wanting to achieve genuine transparency beyond their tier one supplier, and not knowing who their suppliers are is the biggest impediment. So quite a lot of the time we're on a discovery journey with our clients, knitting together all of the participants in their supply chain, all the way down to the source material, whether it be an artisanal miner or a farmer. The second one, I think, has been this misconception of what a blockchain-enabled solution can do. So we've had to help educate and coach and give confidence to our clients to be able to use the platform in a way that gives them the data that they want.
Can you share a few examples or use cases of customers who have used Circulor's technology to make this happen?
Absolutely. Our first ever client was Volvo. And for them, we're able to prove where the cobalt for their electric vehicle battery comes from, and that no child labour is being used. We can demonstrate with huge amounts of confidence of what material was added to it during the chemical recycling process, into the production of a cathode or an anode, all the way into the assembly of the battery, such that they know the battery has gone through this particular chain of custody. Another example is Polestar, which is part of the Geely group. They signed at the beginning of the year with us, And their stated ambition is to build the carbon neutral car of the future by 2030. And part of the drive for them is working alongside us as a partner and collaborator, mapping and onboarding all supply chains for 28 different materials that go into their car.
Wow. So we talked manufacturing, we talked automotive. I think food is really important. Are there other industries and use cases that you see emerging for this technology that you're really excited about?
Sure. Some fantastic cases are starting to emerge, particularly around the traceability of leather. So from cow to hide to a car seat or a seat on a plane, for example, and being able to trace the entire provenance of that. We've just started a project in the recycling of plastic waste, car matting, for example. But again, plastic waste, we're looking at ocean to effectively reuse and reconstituted plastic consumer products.
That's so exciting. I would love to know, even as I'm sitting on a plane, where the leather on my chair came from. That would make me more excited to fly with that airline that was letting me know that.
Absolutely. I think the interesting challenge for us as a startup has been that we can tackle or apply the solution to many, many technologies and on a global scale. So as a small business starting out, we had to be really, really focused on the sectors that make the biggest impact in terms of climate, people, and the planet. So we've tried to make sure that as a business ourselves, not only are we applying to become a B Corp, but we're trying to leverage where we apply the technology to really further some of the SGDs and ESG objectives that our clients have.
Right. I mean, you're talking about a really smart scale up strategy where you were beginning with really strong focus, getting those use cases figured out. And now you're in a position where you can start thinking bigger and looking elsewhere. I want to talk a little bit more about your scale journey as an alumnus of Oracle for Startups. Can you tell us a little bit more about your experience working with that program?
Absolutely. It was an amazing program to go through, particularly in terms of the challenge that it provided us and some of the insights that it gave us to think about the mistakes that we could make and therefore how to avoid the pitfalls. When we first started with the program, we were only 5 people and we'd only just started on our journey with a prototype platform. So during the course of that journey, we're now at 35 people and recruiting to become possibly in the region of between 55 and 60 by the end of the year. We've opened a new office in Hammersmith. We're now delivering solutions to clients in 14 countries globally. And within that, we've raised a series of funding. So we just closed our Series A fund round last month. So it's been an incredible journey for us. And throughout that whole process, we've also had a huge amount of support from many of the Oracle startup team members, where we've been introduced to potential clients. We've had support in terms of marketing and getting out on event engagements, speaking on platforms, talking about transparency and blockchain-enabled solutions.
Well, it's been a pleasure to watch Circular's momentum. It seems like you have a ton of it. I'm wondering if you have any advice for other founders that may be thinking about joining a program like Oracle for Startups.
I would bite your hands off. And more seriously though, we were very clear within our team that we would have specific roles and responsibilities in terms of getting the best out of the program. So we had specific areas of need that we had, which meant that we could get the most out of the program by sharing it across the team. We were also very clear about the specific areas that we would need support on, particularly around scaling up the technology, making sure that we had the ability to engage with different parts of Oracle. So I think the advice I would give is make sure that you really plan your engagement and really think about the areas that you definitely need help in. And those are also to be straightforward that you don't need help in.
So Veera, as a graduate of Oracle for Startups, how has your experience been after the program?
To be really honest with you, it doesn't feel like the program has stopped for us. We thought that at the end of it, we would be left with just the existing contacts that we had. However, the absolute opposite has been true. We feel like we're continuing to get huge amounts of support. interest, introductions. So it doesn't feel like the program has ended, which was a really pleasant surprise for us. And it's one of the things that has been really, really refreshing as a program.
We love to hear that because Oracle for Startups is designed to be a true partnership.
It certainly has become that. And I do see us as partners as we go forward in this journey together.
So you are raising funds, you are scaling up, you are expanding into new markets. What's next for Circulor?
So the priority of the next 6 months is building out our US operations and building out into Asia Pac and into EMEA. So that involves recruitment, finding locations for offices, also acquiring new customers and extending out from what we have already done. We're planning on doing a Series B fundraise again towards the back end of the year. So clearly that's going to take a huge amount of resource and effort. But in terms of how we feel as a team, we feel like we're in the perfect eye of the storm, but it feels almost like we're hanging onto a rocket ship that's just taking off.
It's a great problem to have. I'm personally extremely excited for you. And if people like an investor or a customer or some great talent wants to learn more about Circulor, where should they go?
Just go straight to our website and there's a contact me section. And we'd love to hear from everybody.
Great. Thank you so much for being here, Veera.
No problem at all. Really enjoyed the call and a good catch up.
Likewise. And if you would like to join Circulor and scale your business with Oracle, head to oracle.com/startup.